Adriana.
And I'm Jen.
And welcome to another exciting season of Two Moms in the Kitchen.
This season is sure to bring you some great new recipes, many tips and tricks for working in the kitchen, a whole lot of good conversation, and a great deal of fun.
We know that the world looks a little different now, but we hope that we can bring some joy and laughter into your home each episode.
We are so excited to be back.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be making some easy back-to-school lunches that you can make beforehand and just reheat in the morning. The first one we're going to start off with is some homemade chicken nuggets. This all came about because my daughter has started to refuse to eat lunches, and I needed to think of things that I could send for her that she enjoys eating, and one of those things is chicken nuggets. But I didn't want to just get frozen chicken nuggets from the grocery store. I wanted to make sure what she was getting in her body was actually no preservatives, just healthy things. So I found this recipe, I made it, and it was a huge hit. My husband actually ate more chicken nuggets than the kids did that night. So you know it's good. I've been told I need to keep it in the freezer at all times, ready to go. So let's get started with this. So this is something you're gonna do the night before or on a Saturday when you have a little bit more time. There's a few extra steps than you would think. But then you put it in the freezer and you don't have to worry about it till the morning. So what we start with is with breadcrumbs. So the recipe says that you can use a piece of bread or breadcrumbs. I liked the breadcrumbs idea better, and it's worked out really, really well in the recipe. I've made it a few times, and so it works out nicely. And the reason you're using breadcrumbs, you're gonna add some milk to the breadcrumbs, and it makes, let me look at the word because I wanna make sure, panade?
Oh,
I don't know.
that's a new one for me.
Yeah, and basically what it does is it keeps the chicken nuggets juicy, so they don't get hard when you freeze them and then reheat them.
Perfect.
So, you just need 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs, and I'm just using Italian style breadcrumbs seasoned, that way it gives it a little bit of extra flavor. And you need 3 tablespoons of milk. There we go, 1. You're gonna let this sit for 2 to 3 minutes. You don't need to mix it, this is just letting the breadcrumbs absorb the milk. That's all you need to do.
Oh.
We're gonna set this aside. I'm gonna set the timer for 2 minutes, and then we'll set it for 3 just to be wild, right? And then we can start prepping everything else. So you need 1 egg that's whisked. There we go. Nothing too fancy there. All right, you're going to be breading this recipe. So in a plate, what you're going to want to get is Panko Crumbs, and it's a cup of Panko Crumbs. For those of you unaware, Panko Crumbs, are they always Japanese?
I think they are.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds
That
good.
was my understanding.
Okay. So here's my drink. They just make everything extra crispy.
Yes.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
It's different from a regular breadcrumb, just the crispiness is amazing.
Yeah.
So.
It's almost chunkier.
Yeah.
If you want to use that word.
I'll give you that.
Compared to like a fine breadcrumb.
Right.
It's got more
Textures to it
Yes.
and more stuff to it.
Yes.
Also, we're going to be adding some Parmesan cheese, which really is the kicker of
Absolutely.
everything. Life is delicious with
Yeah.
Parmesan cheese. I feel like I have lost all of my things.
What are you looking for?
1/4 cup.
Oh, no, I've got 3rd here.
It's here, it's here. I just put it back where I had it before. Why not? Okay, so with 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, and you might get some little balls in there. Just crush them out. There we go. And then the last thing you're going to be adding to this little mix is 2 teaspoons of dried parsley. So I don't want you to think that the parsley is going to be like very apparent in this recipe, because I know my kids, if they see something they don't know or green, they're like, how dare you even do that? mix it all together so that when you're breading the chicken nuggets, everything gets on the chicken nuggets. There we go. Kind of spread that out. Perfect. Okay. Good. So that will be ready for our oven's ready.
Excellent.
Okay.
Good timing.
And then what we're going to do is we've still got 29 seconds. That's okay. We'll do it because we said 3 minutes.
We did.
2 to 3 minutes. We're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So to this is again the panade. Sounds great. So what we're going to be doing is adding the chicken to it. Actually, we'll do the seasonings first.
Okay.
We'll do some black pepper. So you just need 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. There we go. Oh, there's my timer. Oh boy. And then 3/4 teaspoon of garlic salt. Good stuff. Go ahead. This is one thing I don't have a little jar for. I haven't made it yet. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then you want to mix that together. Okay. And then you're just going to add the chicken to it. And you're going to do the chicken with your hand. Just accept your fate. And it's going to be gross, and that's what it is.
It's a meatloaf moment. It has to be done by hand.
It has to be done. That's just the way it goes. All right. So this is 1 pound of ground chicken. Put it in there. Take out that little paper. There we go. And we mix. It's really great. All right. Jen, how are your kids accepting school lunches? Jen is much more creative than I am.
Oh, I don't know about that. My children have an aversion, I guess you could say, to sandwiches. They just don't like sandwiches. A wrap will be fine. They'll eat a wrap, no problem. But don't stick anything in between 2 pieces of bread. So makes life a little interesting. But we do a lot of thermos lunches, leftovers in the thermos, soups on cold days. We had a big brunch over the weekend, and so there was some leftover French toast, so they took French toast and bacon for lunch on Monday. So just whatever, just trying to think outside the box a little bit. We've done scrambled eggs in the thermos.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, just anything really, leftovers, you name it. So anything except a sandwich. Cheese and crackers seem to be a big one, and then we'll cut up like meat or pepperettes or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, just variety.
Yeah, that's a problem in our house.
Yes.
Okay, so I mixed the chicken. You'll know it's mixed because everything is all mixed together. As long as you don't have any like extra pink parts, because that means that the chicken hasn't mixed in, you're fine. So what you're gonna do next is you're gonna take a tablespoon. Now, this is important because I want you to be sure that you measure it. Because if you get some that are too big, then you'll have parts that are raw,
right.
And then that's no good.
Yeah.
So, and the chicken nuggets will not look uniform in any way. Let's just accept that thing too. So, a tablespoon, take it out, and just form it however you want to form it. I like to do kind of like a rectangle-ish kind of thing, and then just gonna put it there on the parchment paper so that we're gonna be adding egg to it, and then we're going to be putting it in the breading in a few minutes. So see, just kind of form and go. When you put it in the breading, it will also change shape. So
yes.
These are not going to be perfect, but they are delicious. So that's really the important thing here. So then we will form this. Okay, so I'm going to finish up this bowl, and when I'm done, we'll show you how to put it in the egg, or put the egg on top, and then put it in the breading. All right, so our chicken nuggets are done. This recipe made 29, but I would say it would make between 25 to 30 nuggets, just depending on how generous you are with your tablespoons. And what we're going to do is, instead of dipping it into into egg and then putting into the breading. You do one side of the nugget in egg, flip them, do the other side, and then you put them in the breading. And I found it was just a little bit faster to do it all together. So this is not rocket science. It doesn't have to be perfect. I spill egg all over the place, but it's just to get the breading to stick.
Isn't it the messier the better?
Yes, it tastes better when it's messy.
That's right.
Yes, 100%. So
we'll
this
go with
is,
that.
and I am a messy cook. Let's
Yes.
just admit that 100%. Alrighty. Okay, so then we very quickly flip them over. Do it carefully so you don't lose your shapes. There we go. And again, it's messy, but just accept your fate. I think when you're a mom, you accept mess a little bit better,
Oh yes.
you know?
Play-Doh and sticky hands
Oh, yes.
and drippy noses.
Mud. My son has a habit of putting on his shoes a little bit too early when we get ready to go to school, like for this morning, for example. And so I said, buddy, look at the floor. There's mud everywhere. Like, why would you do that? And he just forgets. You
Yes.
know? It's fall time. It's the time of mud. We forget. Whatever. Okay, so on the other side, here we go. Again, nothing fancy. This is just one egg. You'll probably have some egg left over unless you were going to double or triple the recipe, which super easy to do. My husband has said I have to do it because he loved this recipe. He actually really likes to do like a big salad, and this will be his protein in the salad.
Oh,
Yeah.
great idea.
So, alrighty.
You know it's good if it's husband approved.
Right? Especially when his mom was a really good cook. My mother-in-law, the stories of her are legendary, of her cakes and all these things. And so I have a lot to live up to. Okay, so we're going to continue using the same sheet because you're going to be freezing on here. So what you do, take your chicken nugget. That's it. Just
Easy.
roll it around. Again, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to lose its shape. I actually like to do a few at a time.
Yeah.
And then that's it. When we're done with this, we're gonna pop it in the freezer. If you wanted to eat some of them now, if you were making them for like a lunch or whatever on a Saturday and you wanted to eat them fresh, don't freeze them all. You can cook them. I'll explain the cooking instructions for fresh. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to freeze them, and then I have some that are already pre-frozen that I made a few days ago, and we're going to show you for a school morning how you would reheat these. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll move to the frozen ones. So our chicken nuggets are done. They're ready to go in the freezer. What you're going to want to do is called the flash freezing. You put it in the freezer for, I would say, 20 minutes or so. That's usually enough time for it to become a little bit solid, and then you put it in a bag. And you're done. But you want to make sure when you do a flash freezing that you have it on this cookie sheet because it'll lay flat, it'll keep its shape, and then we'll be able to transfer it. So we're going to put this in the freezer. Jen, I will give you these.
Excellent.
These are the ones I already made.
Yum. Delicious.
So, there we go. You're going to want to carefully balance your things to make sure they don't fall out. There we go. Good. Okay. Now I'm going to get a different cookie sheet, and we're going to show you how to cook from frozen. So, cookie sheet. Now this is just my own personal thing. I always like to put parchment paper down. It just makes life easier. Cleanup is easier. Non-sticky mess. Just life is easier. So we're going to do, I think in my daughter's thermos, I think 6 fit. Okay, so we'll do 6. Look at these cute little guys.
Oh, they're
Perfection.
adorable.
So the directions for heating from frozen are fairly simple. What you're going to do preheat the oven to 400, and we need our butter. Butter is the one that makes the world go round. So you're going to want to melt some butter. If you're going to be making these fresh, then you're going to put the butter on right away and then put them in the oven and all these things. So frozen, do a little bit less butter so that you don't have an abundance of butter left over.
A sea of butter.
A sea of butter, if you will. But let's see, that's looking pretty good. Okay, oops, wrong drawer. So you're going to get a little bit of butter on each side, okay? You're just going to do it on the top for right now, and this is just what's going to make it golden. That's all, and a little bit of extra flavor, delicious. But again, it's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means. It's just to give it some color and some extra little flavor at the end. There we go. Okay.
Will it help with the crispiness as well?
It can, yep.
Plump up those.
Plump them up, yep. Alrighty. Okay, and so these are going to go in the oven for total time 18 minutes. So what you're going to want to do is put them in for 9, flip them, and then put more butter. So you just put butter on the other side. So let's go ahead and get these in for 9 minutes. Alrighty. When we come, actually I'll come back in 9 minutes and I'll show you how to flip and put butter on. Okay, so our chicken nuggets just came out. We gotta flip them over. They're a little hot. Just be mindful.
You're a brave mom.
Oh, yes. Okay, and some more butter. Some butter. Now, every oven is going to be different. Every oven will be a little hot, a little colder, either way. So if you're finding that these are not quite as golden as you want them to be, just put on the broiler for a few minutes. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me too, so no big deal. The most important thing is that they're cooked. So really, okay, these are going to go in for another 9 to 10 minutes. Okay, and we'll show them when we come back. Okay, so our chicken nuggets are out of the oven. They look delicious. We just want to check to make sure that they are cooked all the way through. And so it should be at 165. So just want to make sure, remember, we want to keep the kids safe.
Yes.
So this is at 178.
Perfect.
We're perfect there, okay? You just need to check one. And then the key here is to put it in a thermos. So we'll explain very quickly how to do that. And this will apply for anything you put in here. What I do, and I think you told me this, is put on the kettle.
Yes.
And then put the hot water in here, close it for 10 minutes, and then empty it out, dry it, and then put whatever hot food you want. For chicken nuggets, what I have learned to do is you get a paper towel and you cut it in half. And you want to fold up 1/2 and put it in the bottom, because these are going to be really, really hot, and you don't want any steam to come off of them and make them kind of soggy and all that stuff. And then I take the other half of the paper towel and I just wrap it around and I put it on the inside very carefully, so that you make sure, again, that sogginess doesn't come out, and you just kind of smoosh things down a bit. And then put the chicken nuggets in there and they're set. Add a little ketchup, honey mustard, whatever their favorite condiment is, and lunch is done. We're set to go.
Perfect.
So there's this lunch. Okay, so our next lunch is going to be sandwiches, frozen sandwiches. It's very easy. So for our purposes, we have picked up a brioche pull-apart buns. You can do, they're supposed to be for like sliders and stuff, but these work great for lunches. In Canada, they don't sell Hawaiian rolls. I would have used Hawaiian rolls for these. But
Sadly,
alas,
no.
here we are. But if you're watching this in the US, use Hawaiian rolls because it's amazing. So we have our thing of bread.
And they're the perfect size for little hands too.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
So I usually do 2 sandwiches per kid.
Yes.
So it works out really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay, you are going to very carefully slide your knife in and cut it in half whole while they're intact. Very carefully, people. Do not cut yourself.
Nope. Keep the hand on top.
Yep.
Do it slowly.
Watch your thumb. Just go around. You're fine. There we go. Okay, I think all the way through. Yes.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so 2 halves. Now, the secret with this is where you put your condiments, because you don't want the bread to get kind of soggy when it's being frozen. So, for our purposes, we're using ham, cheese, and mayo. The first thing you do is put the ham down. And where's the other?
Yeah.
Ham
Each one is different.
I know.
Some is corner, some is the middle.
Yep. Now, depending on how much ham your family likes, go to town. So, what we are going to do is do it on both sides. Okay.
Oh, look how perfectly that fits.
It's well done, Jen.
Thank
Jen
you.
provided the ham, so you did well. Okay.
Phew.
I know, it's sometimes a little nerve-wracking.
It is.
Okay, so we've got the ham. Alrighty, next up is the cheese. Where's the entrance for this one?
Yeah. Top corner.
Of course. Okay. Now, my daughter doesn't like cheese, so this would be the end for her. It is fine. We have our issues. Okay. Oh, we're going to be perfect. You're just going to want 1 slice of cheese. That's it. Okay, there's that. Now, if your kids don't care about condiments, don't put a condiment, not a big deal. My kids like a little bit of mayo, so you put the mayo on top of the cheese. Come on. Right? Okay, and you're just going to spread it out. You just want to be extra careful that it doesn't touch the bread. That's the key to all of this. So spread it out on the cheese, just like so. Honestly, I think with this kind of a bun, you don't really need condiments.
No.
Because it's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's delicious. Okay. Fold over and...
Oh, the test. Good
oh,
job.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
That's impressive.
And then here we are. Next step is cutting them. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm in a hurry in the morning, I just want to get going.
Yes.
So we are going to put this all over the place. There we go. Okay. Oh, let me use the sharper one. Okay, so just go along the lines. Cut along the lines. That's it. And then this way. Go all the way through.
Couldn't be easier.
Nope. There we go. Okay. So the step after this is to get sandwich bags. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, here we go. So 2 sandwiches in each bag. And then you're gonna put all of the bags into a freezer bag. So to save them, because you don't want them to taste yucky.
Yes.
Especially if you're gonna be making these for, like 2 weeks out, they'll get kind of freezer burned, if you will. Go. And then we will get our freezer bag. Now, if you find that you cannot find this bread in any grocery store, we are going to show you how to do it with regular bread too.
Yes.
And it's really the same concept. There we go. Now, Jen, in the US, they sell 2-gallon freezer bags. Did you know this?
No.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes. So, in this case, a 1 gallon, you could do like 3 sandwiches and 3 sandwiches, call it good.
Right.
But I happen to have some,
of course you do.
some extra large freezer bags.
Oh my.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
So, courtesy of my mama, who sends me all the good stuff in the US. And then
Perfect.
stick it in your freezer. And then in the morning, grab it and put it in their lunchbox, because by the time they're ready to eat lunch, they will be defrosted. Ready to go.
Right. And it also acts as a pseudo ice pack for
Yeah, for everything
other
else. Yeah.
for fruits or vegetables or yogurt that you put in their lunch pail. So that's a really good option as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely. So now we're going to show you how to do it on regular bread. So we just have a smooth multigrain, nothing fancy. You don't need any kind of special bread for this. There you go. Okay, so again, the key is to make sure that the mayo doesn't touch the bread. Or if you don't want mayo, that's fine too. You can do mayo and mustard if you wanted.
Sure.
My kids are not huge mustard lovers.
No, we're not a mustard family either.
Oh no?
No.
My one son, Sam, he will eat mustard, but the rest are just a little bit too picky.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. A little bit of mayo. Done.
Perfect.
You put it in. If you want to cut it in half, cut it in half. Actually, don't cut it in half because some of the mayo might get out.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, this is just such a perfect little sandwich. So put it in a baggie, put it in the freezer. Life is good.
Now, speaking of sandwiches, you have come up with a technique for your
Yes.
daughter.
Oh, I love her. She is my darling girl, but my gosh, she drives me nuts. So she has decided that she doesn't like cheese, except it's cream cheese.
Oh,
She loves cream cheese.
okay.
And so we were just doing ham sandwiches for a little bit. And then she just has decided this year she doesn't like ham sandwiches anymore. That's it. And so I was also getting away with doing ham crackers, just like little
Yes.
Lunchable thing. Doesn't like that either. So anyways, I was at the store yesterday and I came upon some cookie cutters. And I used to do this when they were babies.
Mm-hmm.
And but I said to her, I will use these cutters if you promise to eat your sandwich. So today she has taken, these are the cutters I got, I keep them close by at all times. So I've got butterfly, star, heart, moon, and a funky diamond. And she took butterfly today. Now it's going to be smaller than a regular sandwich. I don't care.
No.
It's a stepping stone to
Yes.
her eating again, because I pack her lunch with extra fruit and just extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But because she doesn't have what I think, like, the sandwich is a little bit heavier
Right.
than an applesauce or whatever, she would be asking the teacher for extra food. And the teacher always has extra food for our Nutrition for Learning program, but she doesn't need it.
Yes.
We have an abundance, but she just needs to eat it. Eat the food I sent her. So anyway, so this is just a great little idea if you're finding your kids are tired of sandwiches. Both of my boys got into it. My youngest wanted a heart
Yes.
for his sandwich today, and my oldest wanted the moon. So thankfully the moon is a little bit bigger, so I could send almost a whole sandwich
Right.
cut out into the moon. But I mean, kids are gonna drive you crazy. That's what they do. So just accept your fate of trying to get them to eat whatever they will eat.
We like using the cookie cutters for special occasions. So
Oh,
for
there you go.
Valentine's Day, I'll cut all their sandwiches, or well, they don't eat sandwiches, but like cheese
All
into
the
small
stuff, yeah.
shapes and things like that. So I have an abundance of cookie cutters as well in every occasion
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Well, I did a birthday party for my daughter, and it was unicorns.
Yes.
And so I made all the sandwiches unicorn shaped. And so, like, let's pick this up, guys.
Yeah.
Like, let's eat our sandwiches and come on, let's do this thing.
Make it fun.
Make it fun. So anyways, this is gonna go in the freezer. I've got all the sandwiches together.
Perfect.
And because it's a little bit bigger, just find some space in your freezer. I'm gonna put it in my chest freezer.
Yes.
In the garage, and then lunches are made. We don't have to worry about it, and just call it good, and they're delicious. That's the point, is that they are delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, we're going to be talking about some delicious macaroni and cheese.
Homemade macaroni and cheese.
All right.
All right, so the last quick lunch that we're going to do is homemade mac and cheese. Now, I love this recipe because it only takes about 15 minutes, which is almost equivalent to what a box takes to make. So, and then you know what's in this, you know that it's healthy and nutritious. So we're gonna get started. So over at the stove, we already have our pot of water boiling. So to that, we're going to add about half the bag of our macaroni. You don't need to do the whole bag because that would just make way too much.
And we should also mention we salted the water.
We did,
Because
yes.
that always makes pasta better.
Absolutely. So we're just gonna take our spoon here and give it a little stir. Now, you could use regular macaroni, you could use whole wheat pasta, you could use fun shapes, bow ties if you wanted, or anything. It doesn't have to be your typical elbow macaroni. So we're gonna let that boil. I'm just gonna turn it down just a smidge so it doesn't boil over. But we're gonna let that go for about probably 10 minutes, usually is what the bag says. Read your directions. What does this one say here? Okay, all right. So yeah, we'll give that a stir. So while that is going, what we're going to do in another pot, a larger pot, is we're going to turn it onto about medium heat. And what we're going to do is melt a half a cup of butter. Now, the recipe calls for salted butter. It works just fine with unsalted butter, and that way you're watching your salt intake.
Plus cheese is very salty.
Exactly.
So it all evens out in the end.
Come on. Oh, it's stuck in there. There we go. Okay. So what we're doing is actually essentially making what's called a roux, which is a French word for equal parts flour and a fat. So the fat being the butter here. So we want to melt this butter down in the pot. And like I said, that's half a cup of butter.
This is also a good beginning for gravies.
Yes.
You could use bacon fat, you could use butter, you can use, if you were making a turkey, all of that drippings from the turkey. Delicious stuff.
Any fat that you want, yeah. So here, we're just gonna give this a whirl because we don't want this to boil over and stick to the bottom. And I'm getting a facial as well.
Oh, you're so lucky. Well done, well done.
There we go. All right, so this is just gonna take a minute. Okay, so we are almost melted here. And then what we are going to do is add in a half a cup of just regular all-purpose flour. So you want to continue whisking while you pour that in. So what you're doing here is you are combining it, but you're also cooking out that raw flour taste. So we're gonna let that go for about a minute of continually stirring it, getting it all incorporated, and this is the start of your roux. So it's a thickening agent, and this is just gonna make the cheese sauce ooey and gooey. All right. So at this time, now you are going to add your seasoning, and let me just double check. Okay, so we've got 1.5, here we go. We'll do it this way. 1.5 teaspoons of onion salt. So that's just gonna give it some good flavoring. And then we are going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. So that's why I didn't use the salted butter, because we're going to control the salt here. Just give that a whirl so that it doesn't burn. And now this one, I'm going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper. But if you don't have white pepper, you can just use your traditional black pepper. I'll just add a little bit more in there. There we go.
And that'll be contingent on your family's preferences.
Absolutely.
I've mentioned my husband's family loves pepper, so really I always add extra when I know I'm cooking for them.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
and the other ingredient that it says to use is ground mustard. Our family isn't big on ground mustard, so I omit that, but if you want to add it in, you definitely can add that in. Okay, so now we're bubbling up here. You can see that it's getting all combined. So now we know that the flour has cooked, the raw flour flavor has cooked out of there. So now we're gonna add 3 cups of milk. Whole milk, 1%, 2%, whatever you've got, but you're going to do it slowly and in small quantities while you're whisking continuously. So it does take a little practice and it does get a little messy, but just add it in and keep whisking.
That's the most important thing. You don't want it to settle.
Yeah. So keep going. And it's gonna coagulate like this and get all kind of funky looking. That's okay. Just keep going. It will even out in the end, believe it or not. This is where I usually have one of my kids
standing
Yes.
and holding. You can't do everything at the same time.
Nope.
So hold the pot while Mom stirs. Actually, my daughter enjoys whisking while I pour the milk in. So that's always fun to get the kids in the kitchen to help. So I'm just going to set that down for a second and give it a good whisk. You can see that it's thickening up already. This is a good arm workout too.
Oh, yes.
So they're nice and thick, and we're gonna keep going. So a bit more milk. Whoops, there's that messy cook again. Your stove is covered in all my sloppiness.
That's okay. My sloppiness too.
All right, a bit more. Whew, I'm breaking out a sweat here. And once you add the liquid in, then it loosens it up. So that helps as well. We're almost done. You want a nice silky consistency. We're almost there.
So my my stepfather's mother, right? So that's my step grandmother, was famous for her biscuits and gravy.
Oh.
And this is her gravy recipe, except with more seasonings and stuff.
Yes.
So I've grown up on making this since I was little. Just this as a gravy. That's all you need.
Delicious.
On top of freshly made biscuits.
Mm.
Yep.
I'm salivating already.
Oh, she was famous for her biscuits. So
Just the thought of that.
yeah.
All right. We are getting there. My arm is fatiguing already.
It's for the good of the children.
It is. But I have to keep saying. And the last little bit.
It's looking perfect.
And now once you add the cheese into this, it will thicken up a bit more too. So we're just going to stir that for a minute. You just want to make sure that you are whisking and you're getting all the sides and the bottom because you don't want it to burn. It's nothing worse than that scalded milk smell.
Oh, I know it.
All right, that looks really good. So now we're going to take our shredded cheese, and you can choose whatever you want, whether you want the sharp cheddar. This one is a double cheddar mix, so it's got a little bit of everything in it. You can do a Tex-Mex blend if you wanted for a little punch. So basically what I do is I do a generous handful, whoops, and throw it everywhere.
That's all right.
And then whisk it around. And it says 8 ounces. I don't measure out 8 ounces. A handful is usually around a cup. And then you can just determine from there if you want it extra cheesy or if you're good with this.
Yes,
So
we like extra cheesy around here.
you just want it to all be combined and melted.
You can also do a cheese blend. I like to do marble cheese and Parmesan cheese.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Because it adds a little extra something with the Parmesan.
Absolutely. There we go. So with this blend here, because it's got the mild and medium cheddar in there, it's not going to be that dark orange color, but that's okay. Because that way you know it's homemade.
If you used a sharper cheddar,
That's right.
it would have been a darker color.
Yeah. All right. So see, that is
Looking good.
yummy. You just want that to coat the noodles. So speaking of the noodles, we're going to take this off the heat here. I'm going to turn off this one. And now what we're going to do is turn off this one, and we are going to drain the noodles. Okay, so we're going to drain the noodles now. So just be careful of the steam because it is very hot. And we got some sticky noodles, so I'm going to grab our spoon here. You don't want to leave any of those noodles in there. There we go. Perfect. Just gonna put that over here. And just give it a good shake. Get all the remaining water out. All right. And then we're gonna make the quick trip over here and dump it in, trying not to make a mess again. Now this makes a generous quantity of macaroni. So what you could do is have some for a dinner and then the leftovers for the lunches. Or you could portion it out and probably freeze it for the future, and then just warm it up in the morning and stick it in the thermos.
I don't think it would last that long in this house. So my kids would probably, well, my boys, not Marina, of course.
Yeah.
My boys would take it every day for lunch if they could.
Yes.
They love it.
Yeah. It has just that, I don't know, much better taste than the box stuff. We've really gotten off of the box stuff recently.
We have to.
Because this is just so much better.
Yeah. And really the box stuff, we talk about preservatives and we talk about food dyes and all those things.
Exactly.
And really it's something that you know what's going into your child's
That's exactly
body.
Yep. So that is it. Easy. And that took like 15 minutes. So once it cools, it's going to set up a little bit more too. So it kind of looks a little watery right now, but just give it a few more minutes and it will.
Yeah, it definitely will set up.
Set up. And then you've got homemade mac and cheese. Enjoy.